background of why we are having today. We are having today as a follow-up to last year. We had a parenting week. Actually, it was a month, and we had several deliberations that went on. So we just want to follow up on that and probably build on it. We also want to just try and see what we can do about what's happening. Parenting has become a big concern, isn't it true? I mean, the media, every day we are seeing issues, and we are asking ourselves, in our small way, what can our contribution be to make this a better thing for everybody? So yes, that's why we are having today. And like I have already mentioned, the time that we have will not be sufficient for us to cover everything. So whatever we will not be able to cover today, we hope we can cover on Saturday. So you see why you still need to come for Saturday, yeah? More reasons to come for Saturday. And really, the success of today will be if we all open our hearts. We want real discussions. We want real talk. We don't want textbook answers, possibly. We want to hear what's happening on the ground and how we can participate. So our first topic is environment, yeah?
Okay, thank you. And just before we go to our first topic, I just want to pitch something which probably will stem from what my very good friend Maruti was saying. And these I'll actually quote what somebody called George Bernard Shaw did say. He said, perhaps the greatest social service that can be rendered by anybody to a nation or a society is to bring up a family. Think about it. The greatest social service that can be rendered by anybody, and I choose to think all of us are here, is to raise up a family. For me, that's a very important thought, even before we begin to delve into some of those issues. And it does mean that for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to be able to come to a place where we are equipped. And I like the way, if you think about the book of the Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, talking about, train up your child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it. So there's the aspect of training. And I choose to think that's one of the things that we want to just glean from the rest of us who are here panelists. And of course, we'll also give a chance to some of us who are here, and just to give some thoughts. And before we do that, I just want to, I know we did not give them some heads up in terms of, it's always good to have ground rules when you have stuff like this, right? Yep. Do you agree?
Absolutely, yes.
Exactly. So let me just briefly share some ground rules that actually guide us as we walk through this. My dear panelists, one of the key things that I'll expect from you is to be very concise and precise as we interact. We want to engage in a very lively and interesting debate. But as we get some responses from you, just be very concise so that we can be able to, get the best out of this session. And I'm sure our the audience will be very much engaged. And where possible, if you don't need to add a point, please just say, I agree, so that we only be additive and not very repetitive, right? So that with that, we can be able to save time and be able to cover much ground today. So thank you. We do welcome you. And please, so let's go to the first slide. Okay. We're talking about environment being a very important aspect when you talk about bringing up our children. When your children are young, it's very easy to probably, control what they watch, the type of guys they interact with. It's very easy to control. But as they grow up, it gets a little challenging. And we do know very well, as research has actually indicated to us, that, the environment where a child grows up in is very essential. And that's the home. So I want to throw my first question to our panelists right at the end there. Mr. William, please, from your experience, how much control would you exercise in terms of, bringing up your child? And we'd like you to link that with, thinking about church as an environment and the school. Do you think the school has supported you as you're bringing up your child? I'm sure you have like 2 daughters, and they are of age. Oh, 3. My apologies. So please briefly share with us what you think about the environment, and from your experience, how you think the church and the school has actually been of support to you.
Yeah, both school and church have supported me in bringing up my children. An example of church is that I am sitting here representing Sunday school. So all of us who release their children to Sunday school, we expect some kind of input in helping bring up the children. When it comes to our children, when it comes to school, also we look to the issue: are you going to educate my child? Am I confident that you're going to educate my child? Am I confident that you're going to bring them up in a particular manner, out of nyanyasa and that kind of thing? So that way, yes, we know the school does also support them. Does support us as well as parents. Yes, I would like to have as much control as I can over my children, but then I realize that they also have a free will. Okay, you talked about time, but then I'll give you all an example. I've been used to, I'll tell them, okay, fine, do A, B, C, D, the younger ones at least, and then there is one time that I told one of my girls, we shall do 1, 2, 3. Told me, Daddy, no, I refuse. We will not do it that way. It's happened 3 times. And I ended up telling her, okay, fine. The first time she told me, I was taken aback. I was like, hey, oh, you seem total tena. Yeah. Out of the 3 times, twice she was right, once I was wrong. Yes. So you can see, you would like to have as much control as possible, but then let's be real. It's not possible. It's not possible. Niko sawa.
Okay, I think that's actually reminds us that it's very important to be in the right environment, right? And we all agree with that. Please, let's hear from Carol, who probably has a younger daughter in Davs. That's probably less than 4 or about 4 or 5 years. What is your experience like in terms of and the importance of environment? And probably how school, church has been of support to you.
I can say the few years I've been with her, I can say church has contributed in the moral, the moral standards. And of course, she's a young girl. Turning 5, God willing, in January, and when children go to Sunday school, the scriptures, the moral, the memory verses they are taught, really gives them a good impact, because you see that child will sing, what they are reciting in class, the topics the teacher will come, having prepared and teaching them. They go back home, and by the way, their minds they're fragile, but yet very sharp. So anything they are told, deposited in their mind, it sticks completely. In fact, it's very hard to erase that. So Sunday school, I can say church, in Sunday school has really contributed in a very positive way, because you see the child knows more of, Bible scriptures, the songs, the Sunday school songs they are taught. And you find that one gives her that knowledge of wanting to know the Bible, So it shapes her. Her young mind gets shaped, and at least she has that direction, of being, being in a good environment. Yeah. School, I can say, depending on this, most schools our children go to, I can say the Christian schools play a very good role. Because, there's also that virtue of, good behavior, being taught, being well-mannered, the Christian values, I can say also school in a way has contributed in a good way, because we just learned about the CBC, that it has very good visual. It has very good visual, a curriculum that has visual objects, and you see they are learning Christian materials, CRE, and such things that you see the teacher will want to actually get, dig deeper, and wanting to know the background of the child and how the child is living at home, and you see they have an input of wanting to, teach good morals in school.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol, for that. And maybe I just want to, because we all know that that space, whether it's in school or church, we're always pushing for perfection in terms of that environment, is it absolute? Is it the best for my child? We know there are certain gaps, because if you come to think about it, there's so much time that the children actually spend at home. And as it were, there's a lot that they learn at home that eventually probably they push to school or even to the church environment. So I would like to ask Eric, given your very broad experience, you have kids who are of age, and what are some of your thoughts in terms of the improvements that can be made either in the home setup, based on your experiences? If you feel there are certain gaps based on your experiences, can you please share with us what you think could be some improvements that are very critical that can help us who are parents in terms of environment, as far as the environment is concerned?
Thank you very much. For those of us who may not know, my wife and I have got a 19-year-old, twins of 15, and the last born is 11. So we've got the whole spectrum of them. I would concur with him. It says that we have no absolute control of our children. Children ought to be given time to make their own decisions. At a certain age, you will make decisions for them. But then it gets to a point where you need to let them learn to make decisions, because they will grow into adults as well and need to know how to carry on their lives. The mistake we have made is to pursue things and think that we give them what we think is good for them. And therefore, we do not let them make decisions of their own based on circumstances surrounding them. If a child wants to ride a bicycle, you can only tell him, just make sure you do not fall, because you will hurt yourself. But you do not stop them from learning to ride a bicycle. You do not hold the bicycle for them throughout. Okay? The same applies to all other things that they have interact with. There are things you will absolutely say, in my house, it is a no-no. Certain things, they're not very dangerous, but they need to learn through experience. You let them do it, and then let them experience the repercussions of it. Are we in agreement?
Yes.
Now, the environment created at home is dependent on you as the parent. You pursue too much out there, leave your family, you will get the results of it. Because then they have no time with you. I said here some time back, if you really need to know your children, stay with them. Eat with them.
Yeah.
Play with them. And if you can improve that environment around them, they will know what your basic is. So that as they grow up, they also know what they will leave to their children. But if you do not, they will learn it from the neighbor. They will learn it from school. They will learn it from the neighbor's child. They will learn it from church. Not all churches teach the same things we do here. And they do not provide an environment as we provide them here. So you have a choice on what you want to set for your children. Okay? You want them to be disciplined, learn to teach them to be disciplined. They will carry on even after you have given them the autonomy to run on their own. Improve the environment at home. And what I say, and I say most of the time, is God first, the next is not work. It is family. And my wife and I have devoted ourselves. If you look for those bits, we can tell you this, this, and that. But to make sure that we are available for our children.
Amen.
Part of the reason, one of the things we decide to do is, whenever the children come from home, one of us must be home to be with them. Okay? You must have at least a meal with the children as a family in a day. Not all of us will be able to have all these things, but set standards for yourself. That is what helps your family grow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric, for the very solid thoughts. I mean, I'm hearing devotion. You have to create time for your children. this is not something that can just happen by, accident. By the fact that you're biologically able to bring up a child, physiologically you're in the right place, and you're able to bring forth a child, you have to go an extra mile and be a parent. And this is what we're talking about today. So I just want to, and we all know that, recently there was something that was all in the social media about, of course, with due respect to the parents, if at all this thing goes out at some point, the story that came up at Consolata of this very young boy who was captured, or rather went onto the Instagram and was able to just spat out crazy words, vulgar, that, even you as a parent or an adult, when you listen to it, you're thinking, where did he learn this from? Is it from school? Is it from church, quote unquote, or is it from home? But I choose to think, given that a child spends a lot of time at home, wherever it is, there's that aspect that, the environment must have contributed, whether it's home or wherever it is. So I want to hear some thoughts from Kendi, who is also a parent, but also, given a career, she's handling a lot of this. So Kendi, please share with us what you think the role of environment, how important it is, and what are, just quickly, besides, just not to say what they've already said, but some of your thoughts based on your experience handling some of these issues, and in light of probably what could have happened from in one of our schools.
All right, great. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kendi. So, just off the top, I just want to tell all of you parents, the fact that God gave you children, God actually thinks you can parent well. No one here is being bashed. You actually have capacity to parent well. Okay? You're not defective. We are not defective people. God gave you children because He could entrust you with them, and He knows you could parent well. That's off the top. So, as far as environment is concerned, for me as someone who works with mental wellness and mental health, I'll say this. Emotional atmosphere is more important than all other atmospheres in the home. How do your children feel at home? Let me tell you, your kids don't remember where you lived, how your house was. All those things are non-issues. What we live with for the rest of our lives is, how did I used to feel at home? Did I grow up feeling afraid? Did I grow up feeling cared for? Did I grow up feeling scared? Did I grow up feeling abused? Am I making sense? And if we all travel back, we can remember the emotional atmosphere at home. Think about it. Go back home. There's an atmosphere that used to be in the house, isn't it? Either you grew up with a very critical parent, an over-loving parent, an abusive parent, but we all grew up with something. And that is the atmosphere that matters the most. And from my experience, sick families produce sick children. Any time of the day. Sick what? Families produce sick children. That's environment for you. Because they pick up from the environment. But where do sick families come from? From sick parents. Isn't it? We all, by the way, came up with sicknesses from our backgrounds. I don't know how aware you are of yours. Huh? Because I grew up in an abusive home. I carried things from my parents. And if I don't deal with them, they automatically go to my environment. How you parent has a lot to do with how you are parented. I don't know if we've sat down and gone back to how we were parented and seen the deficits. So this last week, I sat down with one of my professors and I was telling him my background. I'm a very open person. So I told him everything. And he asked me a very powerful question. He asked me, because we have that relationship, he asked me, are you overcompensating with your son? And I was like, okay, let me sit. I just sat properly. I was like, honestly, a part of me does compensate with my son. Sometimes you're parenting yourself through your child. Yes. Think about it. Isn't it? Sometimes that hug you're giving yourself, it's not for the child. I know you're laughing because it's true. Isn't it? It's true. Sometimes that angriness, that anger you have, it's actually to you. That's why sick families produce sick children. So I am dealing with the sickness I came from, and a part of it, it still, just seeps out sometimes, and I have to keep on reining it back in. So, off the top, environment has a lot to do with your environment, the one you carry with you, the one you got from where you came from. Emotional atmosphere is everything. Your children will remember how they used to feel when they are corrected, how they used to feel when they do well, how they used to feel when they were punished, how they used to feel when they were corrected. For me, because of where I came from, the one thing I'm very careful about is the atmosphere in my house. Because I know what it means to grow up in chaos. And so I'm very careful to raise someone who doesn't grow up in chaos. Do I overcompensate? I am trying not to, but I still do. One of the things you have to ask yourself, and I need to stop now. You need to ask yourself, what do I crave the most? What did I not get growing up? You'll find that's what you give the most. That's what you give the most. For me, I craved teaching. I used to tell my dad, Daddy, teach me how to drive. Daddy, I wanted to be taught stuff. You can ask Miriam and Nelson. I'm always teaching Nigel stuff. Part of that is me teaching who? The child in me. I know we've moved away from parenting, but you will take your child as far as you have gone emotionally. And that sounds terrible, but it's true. So if I'm going to say anything about environment, of course fight with TV and all those things, but more than anything, deal with self. Deal with your deficits, process your past. What am I dragging my children into? What atmosphere is in my house? Is my house a peaceful place? Is my house a happy place? Is my house a place where kids are corrected and they make mistakes? Or are they bashed for their mistakes? What atmosphere is in my house? All right?
Thank you so much for that. Excuse me. What I'm hearing is that actually that environment, even the emotional aspect of it, can be passed down to generations. So it sounds like basically a lot of us, or almost all of us, is a function of the emotional climate that was created in our homes. So that's how serious this issue is. So I think it's something that we probably need to look at a little more, maybe in our session during the seminar, that what do we need to do? Because definitely, how do we create that environment, that emotional environment that even our children can thrive in? So let me hand it over to my co-moderator, Linda.
Okay, so before I move on to the next topic, I took liberty to find out from children what environment is. So this is maybe what parents need to know. This is from the children. Mm-hmm. So a good an environment for them consists of friends. You should know their friends. Yeah? They would like you to take time to know who their friends are. And then they also say that a good environment is balanced gender, meaning that you should check the gender they are associating with. For instance, if you have daughters and they're associating too much with boys, you need to check that. This is from children, this is not from me. Then they also said religion. Are you exposing them to people who have the same belief as them? Or are you exposing them to religions that are different than what they believe? And of course, there was value and character. That is in terms of school. At home, they said, who is around you? What kind of people are your parents putting around you? Too many adults for children, not good. So they said that if you're a child, you need child company as well. Mm-hmm. And then safety. Am I safe where I am? And then, please, can I play? Yeah? So those are the things that children told me concerning. I just took liberty to check, okay, we are parents, we are talking about children, and maybe we want to prescribe things for us and not for them. So I wanted to find out what do they feel, what are they experiencing, and those are some of the things they pass. Of course, I didn't have very mature children to ask, so maybe at this point we can check from somebody like Mish. What is a safe environment for you? How can your parents provide a safe environment? Or in your perspective, what do you think a safe environment for children is?
In my perspective, in school and in church, there are certain aspects that we are told are not good and are not nice. There are things that we are told are vices. So a safe environment to me personally means a place where I am not exposed to the things that I'm told not to do or not to get into contact with. So, yeah.
Just before you give the mic, how do you think as parents we can provide that environment for you?
You guys as parents, you can provide that by interacting with your children, asking them whether there's something they're not comfortable with, getting to know what, like when you give a certain rule or give a certain view towards something. So of course your child has to think about it. So most parents don't wait for the feedback. So if you get the feedback, then you can find out whether it's a safe environment or not.
Yeah, very important. You know, we want to parent children, but we need to also know what works for them so that we are able to meet them and actually succeed in what it is we are doing. So you have heard from Tim, you've had some thoughts that I picked as well. So the next thing we are going to look at is emotional intelligence. Maybe we can get from the crowd, what do you think emotional intelligence is? And you can make a pick. Who wants to tell us what they think emotional intelligence is? You can put the next slide. Oh, that was technology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I can still handle that. You can just make it technology, so that's fine. Okay. So, technology is the new normal. Technology is every day, yeah? There's artificial intelligence, the way of tomorrow. I don't know whether you received an SMS from Safaricom that Zuri is now doing your customer care. Have you received that? So whether we like it or not, technology is with us and it is here to stay. So what we need to do is to find out how do we help our children to thrive in a technology-filled season, yeah? Again, I asked the children about technology as well. So some of their suggestions before I go to... let my panelists talk first so that I don't preempt what they might be saying. And I think this one I'll give you, Kendi, first.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the question?
In terms of technology, what are some good things?
Great, good things. Lots of them. I think I was talking to Elijah the other day about video games. And I know everybody, video games, no! But video games in the right amount is actually good for your child. It's good for their brain, it's good for their spatial activity. It's actually being used by surgeons because it helps them learn to use their eyes, their ears, and their hands very well in surgery. So video games do have their place, but of course the content is important. What kind of content makes up the video game, all right? And then how much exposure. The other thing you want to look at when you're thinking about technology is the age of the child, okay? The younger they are, the more they need to be controlled about it. When they get to adolescence, they have even much less regulation. You know, video games are exciting, they're thrilling, eh? They give you a high, right? And you want to go and you want to go and it and then they're even designed to get you addicted. So they tell you just one more step and you have a trophy. Fantastic, yes. They give your name. I mean, it's awesome, right? So give that to a 15-year-old who has not developed self-regulation. They'll do it the whole night, all right? But limited amount of technology, limited amount of video games are actually good for brain development. They're actually good for eye-ear coordination, eye-hand coordination. We can't throw the whole thing out, huh? What we have are excess cases of video games, use of extremely violent video. These are talking about research, has shown that is bad. But controlled amounts of use of video games is actually not bad for anybody, even us as adults. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Question. When you say controlled amount is 10 hours, 1 hour?
Wait, can't be 10 hours. Controlled amounts, you know, every child is different, every house is different, the age is different. You can say, again, you know your child more than any of us here do. Sindio? And that's why I said, imagine God gave you that child because God knows Jaden can be parented better by JR than you. So use your judgment as a parent. You will know. You can tell him, and then start with small doses. Watch for 1 hour, let's see how that happens. And you stop at 4. If you stop at 4:30, you've already broken a rule. So video games can be used even as a token and reward. You know, I told you 3 to 4. What time is it? It's 4:15. So next time we watch, 15 minutes less. You understand? And you remember, with all this, you're building both character and skill. You're developing character. You can use technology to your advantage and say you overwatched. So by how many minutes? 30 minutes. So tomorrow you play by less 30 minutes. You have taught him discipline, character, honesty, and consequences, all in one game. So you can do that. Just the other thing about social media, I would say, is now the Facebooks, the Instas, those ones have been associated with very high levels of depression and anxiety among children. If I was to choose any, I would rather video games than Facebook, Instagram, and all those other things. For me, if I was to choose. But of course, it's up to you as parents. Why? Because I don't know how many of you are on social media. Are you guys on Facebook, Insta, all those things? What happens an hour after Facebook? If you're on it for an hour, do you start feeling, hey, my life sucks? I need goals, man. And how old are we? And we feel that. How old are we? So imagine that on an 11, 12, 13, 14, who's already undergoing identity crisis, naturally. And then here they are being shown, this is what a beautiful body. You know me, by then I've left Facebook, I deactivated my account. At my age, it was affecting me. I realized, my God, I am in class reading when I remember, and he went on holiday. Guy, she was looking up. I just realized, hey, will I do my assignments? Let's be honest. I realized it's hogging my brain, affecting my emotions. I'm comparing myself with other people. I'm feeling I'm a loser. I just said, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sorry. I'm out. I can't. I have to be honest with myself. And I took all my photos. My account is there, but I deactivated it. And it was affecting my emotions, my self-esteem, my goals in life, and I hold that high. So imagine at 15, 10, 11, 12. So I'd rather play video for me than that. So yeah, there's that. I think I can say a lot more, but I won't say time.
All right, so we are hearing that we need to limit it and things like that, and we are hearing video games. But I'm thinking, William and Eric, your children will want to go on Instagram, they would want to go on Snapchat, they would want to do that, yeah? And again, there's still a good side to Snapchat, there's still a good side to Instagram. So maybe you can tell us, any of you, what is it that you have done to help them to thrive in that environment, despite all, because the pressure is real, and yet you can't shield them from it because it's a way of the future. So what measures have you put in place, or are you putting in place to make sure that they're safe even in that?
Okay. Is that better? One, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Twitter, I do not subscribe to those things.
Oh, that's the life one.
At my age. But then the children are growing in an environment where it is part and parcel of their lives. So do we tell them no? Do we tell them yes? We discovered they're already on Facebook. I have a very sharp wife. Yeah, she discovered they're on Facebook. So we had to talk to them. Some of those things we had to remove from them because we discovered they were being used badly. The truth of the matter is, no matter who your child is, any two children are not the same. That's number one. Born from the same father and mother, they're not the same. They have different capabilities and abilities. And then number two, the environment that is outside your home also affects them. But what needs to predominantly take place in their lives is what you have taught them at home. So we told them some of those things you may have to close. But if you have to be on them, we have access to them. We have access to your WhatsApp. We have access to whatever else you are doing at this age. Now, it is even better not to give them the phone. The phone is not the best thing to give your children. Please do not insist that because so-and-so has a phone, that they must have a phone. It is not a must. So do not feel because your child does not have that they are less than others. They can use your phone. Originally, their friends would call through our phones, any of our phones. Then we bought a small mulikamuzi for the house. You can monitor those things. Please do not feel that if you don't do that, you don't love your children and the children don't love you. The reason why we are giving them everything is because we have got into the rat race I'm not a rat. But some have got into the rat race, and you're so busy, the only thing you can get affection for is by giving them everything they ask for. Please do not. Airtime, even if they have their phones, it has to be measured. Please do not give them unlimited airtime.
Yeah, that's right.
It is not necessary for them to have it.
Yeah.
Control that, because they will do everything. There are some of the things my wife and I discovered that our children were doing that are really shocking. If we were to tell you, you'd wonder, I have an... So don't think we are exempt from this.
Yeah.
We have had to deal and put a tight noose around those things. How much time on social media? It depends on what you as a parent, the environment you're providing. So if you tell them not to play video game, what are they doing? What else is there for them to do?
Yeah. Fill the gap.
Yes, so they must fill that gap. So what are you as a parent providing at home and outside the home that they can do other than just playing the... When we were growing up, we'd go climb trees, eat mangoes, go to the sugarcane farm, do all those things because they would fill our time. But you're living in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom house. You're living in a place where you don't have much playground. What are they going to do if you tell them not to play video games? Provide an alternative for them.
Yes.
It's important for them to have an environment they can do something else. Let them bake, let them cook, let them clean the neighborhood, not necessarily your house, so that they know that their life is orderly. Their time is filled, and they have a lot of energy, and they have to direct that energy somewhere. Thank you.
One thing, I concur with Eric and I concur with Kendi. To begin with, I was watching a documentary yesterday, Kendi, on your point, and they said that actually video games help develop the mind and coordination. I was really impressed. I actually watched it for some time. Yes, limited amount, yes, but you're right. You're very right. Now, when it comes to social media and when it comes to the phone, I remember I was talking with Elijah and somebody else, and I told them that I was listening to this. It's good to get information all around. I was listening to this parenting program on TV. Someone had talked about tech-free zones. I think you remember that conversation we were having.
Tech-free zones.
Tech-free zones.
In the house, yeah.
Create tech-free zones in the house. Where, in fact, I was saying we're a big challenge because wasichana wangu utapata moja ameenda amekaa. I hope even if it is Swahili itapata. Msichana mmoja ameenda yuko mali pengine on the phone. So create tech-free zones. Probably if we're having dinner, like he has talked about, if we're having dinner, let's all have dinner together. Now, at this point, I would like to compliment my wife. She's a mother and then a friend to the girls. Because, he says, yeah, it's really true. Like he says, they need to know, parents need to know what their children are listening to or what they are doing. So you find a lot of times they will kind of, like, if I can use this term, compare notes, or they will update her on what is happening. And then another thing, like Eric has said, nature abhors a vacuum. So if you say don't use the phone and then you leave them like that, trust me, these people are creative things. They are going to find out. So what she has done, again, compliment to her. What she has done is that kuna watu wanapika. There are those who are going to wash the house and that kind of thing. So at least the girls are occupied doing something. The girls are occupied doing something. Or when daddy will come in, let's have your assignments and that kind of thing. And then at the end, when it goes beyond a particular limit, she'll tell me, now, she's spending too much time on her phone. She's not reading. I want you to talk to her. So there is that kind of, like someone mentioned, tag teaming. Yes, I like that tag teaming. Yes. But then taking it away from them completely won't work.
Naomi, what is the experience? What do you think?
Mine, I can say, at the young age she is, can you imagine she We fight over this phone. Yes, in fact, she even calls it hers. So she tells me, Mommy, once you're done making your calls, doing whatever you're doing, give it to me. And of course, I was like, why do you want to use my phone? Because I see you flip through. I want to see what you're reading. Can you imagine? That anxiety? So I was like, even me, I want to also be doing the same. So I was like, okay, what we'll do here? Of course, what I read you can't understand, yeah. But I'll try and create something that will also make it fun for her. So there's a YouTube Kids, app that I had downloaded for her, and of course I just went through it, want to see the programs in it, and I came across some very educative programs, school-based, sounds, learning materials in YouTube, but now for the kids, now the kids version. So I said, you know what, let me try and expose her just a little bit to just see if she'll be able to learn something out of it. And by the way, the girl was so happy. But now the thing is to control it, because YouTube, in as much as it's for children, you also have to be careful, because other things come along, with it. But now you put a password code, and now you measure it, you control it. And of course, the only thing actually she'll want to use the phone for is the learning material. Yeah. We have very good YouTube learning materials for shapes. Now for the tender age, you learn sounds, shapes, the colors. And by the way, they're getting exposed. Besides even what they're learning in class, there's also something educative that they can learn from the app. And that is how I decided to just expose her in that way, so that at least she's also not feeling left out. But again, at least you control the usage of the phone. So once I'm done doing using my phone, now I also give her to also go through. But again, now she has her program. In fact, she knows it. Yeah. And of course, now you're strict on it, and you tell her, you only watch this. What mommy has put for you, that is what you're going to watch and not play with. And they are good, they are educative. School curriculum, just that. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So you can actually use this tool to make the child see that your phone is supposed to be something you can learn. It's not just games and all that, yeah. And I also hear the ones for the older teens. I'm coming there and I'm thinking, okay, I like the tech-free zone. Wow, that's something I think we all should adapt at home. Tech-free zone, it means no SIMO there. It's just us and we are just talking. No TV, no what. It's just people. I think that's quite something that we can develop. And imagine if your children already have that culture. Then they begin to appreciate that technology. You can't have it all the time. Well, some of the things the children told me about technology, they said that as parents, we need to give them freedom, but to some extent. Meaning that they are not able to control themselves, so they need help. So they need us to help them. And then they also mentioned social media is addictive. So for the parents, you need to know that, and for the children as well, social media is addictive. So they said as parents, we need to support them with that. If we see them too much in it, we can help them pull out. And then, of course, they said, parents, you're the role model. There's no way I'm going to be telling my daughter, you can't be on your phone all the time, and that's all I do. Matthew, this is them who said, it's not, I didn't read this anywhere. This I got verbatim from them. Parents are the role model. So parents cannot be preaching what they are not practicing. So practice what you preach. Yeah? And then, of course, there was the trust. Yeah? Your children need to trust you enough so that if she's on social media and she comes across something that is not nice or something that is, they can come and tell you. If someone is stalking them, or because that happens on social media and things like that, they need to feel safe enough that if they come and tell you they came across this thing, you're not going to bash them, but you're going to support them in it, and you're going to help them to navigate and get out of whatever problem they got out of social media. But yes, the children do have a little information on the good and the bad of social media. So yeah, that's from the children's corner. Maybe I see her, I don't know her name. If someone could give her a mic. What's your experience with social media, and what do you think can be done to make it more useful and safe?
Okay.
Tell us your name. Sorry.
My name is Margaret. What I think about social media, for me, it was so addictive at a certain point. In fact, when you wake up, the first thing is just checking who texted you, who stalked you, like that. And I think it can cause depression. Yeah. So I'm an adult, and that I live alone. No one is controlling me. No one is telling me stop. It's not good. You're supposed to limit yourself. So for me, for now, I see it for its advantage. I can use that platform to market what I'm doing, business, instead of just talking to people. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, the real Lydia is an expert in technology. How could I forget you, Lydia? Sure, yes.
I just want to ask a question. Hi, Margaret. You said you're Margaret, huh? I just want to ask you a question. What would you, now that you're an adult, yeah? Looking back, what should your parents have done differently concerning the phone and social media?
Maybe they could have taught me not to use too much, the effect of using too much social media, and tell me I can use that platform to educate myself and to add knowledge. Yes.
Excellent. I think some very interesting points.
Just some comment around the same issue. When I was growing up, I grew up in the rural area, and I remember a lot of the news we used to hear about Nairobi were very negative. So I used to fear. I used to wonder, then will I ever come to Nairobi? I mean, that place sounds very dangerous. But hey, I've been in Nairobi now for, I think, 20 years. Another day, we were coming to church, and we saw a lot of people flowing to Uhuru Park. I think there was a meeting, one of those, those meetings that happen at Uhuru Park. A lot of people. But then I was surprised that all these people are going to Uhuru Park. They knew about this meeting, yet I have no idea about this meeting. I'm just seeing them as we were coming to church. So I said, how come I did not know about this meeting? And they all knew. Then it occurred to me that, in life, there are lanes everywhere. There are lanes everywhere. We can be in the same Nairobi, but the information that we have access to, the information I have access to, is so different from the information that someone else has, even though we're in the same Nairobi. It's the same thing with the internet. The internet has streets. The internet has lanes. The internet has a lot of good content. But does the internet have bad things? It does. So, are we going to say that we'll not allow our children to access the internet and to engage in technology because there are bad things on the internet? I don't think that is a good approach. I actually think that we need to expose them, but then show them, like she said, what the good there is on the internet. And actually, one of the things you'll notice, I'm sure you'll have noticed it, and that's a function of artificial intelligence. The internet learns you. It learns what you do there. And it exposes you to more of what you access. In fact, even when you're on social media, like on Twitter or on Facebook, the people you connect with, that platform will expose you to more people who are like those who you have connected with. It will ask you, so you like so-and-so. Can you like so-and-so? Can you connect with so-and-so? Because they are like this one. So the bottom line is, who are you connecting with? Yeah? What kind of information are you subscribing to? you will get more of that. You'll get more of that. So let's show our children the good. Like she said, I like what she said. She found educative content on YouTube. The child will begin, you will begin to see a lot of similar videos because that's artificial intelligence. It learns your likes and gives you more of that. Yeah? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Linda. Lydia. I think Lydia is just short of saying you have to enroll your child for Hekima Digital School. Because here we try to tell them, come on, internet is not bad. Or even doing the video games, you can actually create your own video games. And, we kept on thinking, either our children can be influenced or they can be influencers. But we're trying to bring up children that can be influencers. So it calls for a certain level of thinking. Betty had something to say. Sorry, Betty.
Hi, church. Okay, one thing I've found, sometimes I tell, let's say, you have to show me everything. But she's reluctant because that's reality. She just deletes everything that I wanted to see if there was something that is wrong. But I've come to learn, I've been praying. I pray for God to show me, to expose to me things that are not right. Because sometimes I can't actually get them. And I've found that every time I tell her, what are you checking? She tells me, Mom, leave me alone. But eventually, by the time, after a while, she comes up with the thing herself. Even if it's not directly, she somehow brings it up. And I've learned to ask God, this thing I don't understand what is happening in this area. Expose what needs to be exposed. And God has been faithful. Constantly, every time, like over the term. I remember there was a time about, she came home and told me she wants to do photography. I wondered, where did that come from? So she kept on saying that. I told her, why do you want to do photography? After about a week, this thing of expose about ambia wazazi, something like that. Ifikie wazazi. She came to me and told me, Mom, imagine, look at what people are doing, the shoots. You see, for her, she had had it in school. Photography came from those. She kept on telling me, I want to go for those shoots. I want to go for those for photography. Kumbe behind it, it was about the shoots. So if she went, if I allowed her, of course I told her she can't go, but if I allowed her to go and do photography, as she was saying, it was not really photography. But God chose to that thing of ifikie wazazi came up at the same time during that period of time. And then I realized I wanted to kitu ya shooting so that she can go and discover what's happening. But hiyo kitu, God exposed it before. Then I realized, okay, this is what you're talking about. So I called her and asked her. She told me, yes, Mom, this shooting, I wanted to go for shoot. So sometimes we have to trust God. We have to trust God even with our, sometimes we think we know everything. But we also have to ask God to expose things to us which are hidden and which we are not able to reach when we ask questions.
Wow, thank you so much. At the end of it all, we have to go back to God. It says that, one of our desires is to bring up children who are righteous, who are living for God. But where is the template? We have to go back to God to be able to get the right template to just be able to train up. And that's why I love Proverbs. Maybe I want to follow up on what Pastor has been saying. He just decided to sit on Proverbs and just milk it. And I strongly believe that Proverbs is such an excellent resource, even in terms of, learning what to do with our children, how to train them up in the right way. Because I tend to believe that, the writer, it was a lot of wisdom or counsel towards, how our father should be able to bring up his child, or even the mother bringing up her child. So I think it's very essential, and I like what Betty has mentioned. We have to go back to learning the kingdom principles. I know our time is fairly stretched. We've blown up the lid on our time, and I just want to bring it to a close and say we have to go back to God and learn the principles. We need to trust God. As much as, we think we have it all by ourselves, we need to go back to God. I just want to maybe just quick wrap-up points from our panelists. Sarah, then we'll hand it back to our MC himself. Let me start from this side.
When he was saying he wants to wrap up, there's just one thing I want to leave with you people. Be friends with your kids and then take them out for lunch or for dinner. Take them on a date. Someone told me this the other day, and it was a struggle for me. I remember I shared it with Elijah. An incident happened, and I took Catherine for dinner, and I learned a lot. People, I encourage you, don't put it under them. In fact, I think we agreed with Elijah. We'll be doing it, I think, once a term or something like that. So take your boy, take your girl out for dinner. I really encourage you. And then another thing on that one, isiwe ikawa that someone else is taking them out for dinner, they're experiencing something that daddy or mommy never exposed them to. Let you be the first person that they have experienced that. Please, I urge you, if there's anything else you may forget from me, and don't forget tech-free zones, take your child out for a dinner date. Both men and women. JR unaweza anzia hapo. You can take Jaden. Please take Jaden out for dinner date.
I will emphasize that. Please have dates with your children. Number 2, parenting is a calling, and it is a sweet calling. Other than service with God, you will appreciate you bring up your family well if you do. Not the amount of money you will have had at the end of the day, yeah? And how a big position you'll have attained. Eh? Family number, God one, then family.
Mine I can say is just what my fellow brother says, spending time with them. I can say, children, they value very small things. We might think buying them, stuff here and there will make a significance in their life, but you'll find they might not really value that as much. The time that we spend with them, it is priceless, And I can say parenting is a gift. It is such a gift from God. And we are stewards. And one day we shall all be accountable. What we teach them and how we have raised them up. And I can say from the experience I've had, spending as much time as we can, it is the best thing we can give, May God help us. Yeah.
My final take is ask God to deal with your heart about parenting. Start with you. That's what I would say. For me, it's been, Lord, deal with my heart first before my son. Teach me. The other day, a few weeks ago, I was doing a fast, and the Lord was dealing with me about my son, and he said, Candy, you cannot be his Holy Spirit. I was like, oi. And I was driving from school and said, you can't be his Holy Spirit. It's not your work to convict him. It's my work to convict him. You can only train behavior, but a heart change is a God issue. It's a God issue. That is the truth, isn't it? And at the very end, what we want for our children, a heart change, not behavior modification. Because I'll change behavior in your house as soon as I leave and wherever I want to be. What's the success in that? It's not there. So at the end of the day, I had to deal with my fears about parenting. And I'm telling you, without batting an eyelid, ask God to deal with you about your parenting. Where are you failing? What are your fears? And many times we parent out of fear. Ask yourself, what's your biggest fear? Is your fear that my child will have sex? Is your fear that my child will go? Deal with that fear. Because it will seep into your parenting style. And the enemy will do a number on you. A good one. So for me, it's been, Lord, deal with my heart about parenting. Help me understand my role, my limits as a parent. Help me release this child to you with every part of me. And I learned that because as a counselor, people would bring their kids. And I end up spending more time with the parent than the child. So who was sick? Back I normally say, come for your own session, alafu mtoto ikuwe separate, And that's how I learned, wait, we are half the problem. Not because we are bad people, it's because we thought immediately we have kids, our past is gone, and we died, it doesn't matter, let's just raise amazing kids. we are still human beings, you know. So for me, it's been having a closer walk with the Lord, asking him to deal with my heart about my fears, knowing that my children will make mistakes. They will make mistakes. It is expected that they make mistakes. Lord, deal with my fears about that. If I woke up and found my son is sniffing weed, what will I do? I know, guys are like, guy, but some people here have smoked weed. Majifanya tu hapa, you know. You're looking at me like, child, that ain't me. That is you. You know, not everyone here was a virgin when they got married. That is the truth. And now I'm making people even more upset. But point is, I need to deal with me and my fears and my anxieties. And I honestly believe God will teach me how to raise him. And since your kids are different, every child will need something different. So you will need a closer walk with God so you can raise all of them to be who God wants them to be. You know, at the very core, every child is going to be different. So anyway, I had a lot more to say, but if for nothing, have a closer walk with God yourself. And God will deal with your heart about parenting. And everything after that is up to the rest.
A wounded parent will bring up a wounded child, but a healthy, redeemed parent will actually bring up a very strong, healthy child. Let me hand it back to my co-moderator before we can leave the stage.
Yeah, so like I said, I think time was not on our side. So God willing, we need to do this again. True? Yes. There is a few more would have covered, but we were not able to cover. The message from the children concerning emotional intelligence or dealing with disappointment, because we've seen lots of cases of suicide. I think their biggest challenge is fear. Why do children do things like if they fail, they can even commit suicide? Fear of how we will treat them. That is their biggest fear. Yeah. People will treat me differently. If I don't pass, people will look at me differently. That is their big, big, big concern. Yeah. And as parents, I don't know what we can do, but at least you know now that your children really fear that if I'm not fast in class, how will they look at me? If I don't become the best in the swimming gala, how will they look at me? Yet the reality of life is sometimes they'll not be fast on the gala. So the suggestion they said is teach them decision-making skills. Yeah? At every stage in life, teach your children decision-making skills. These are messages from kids. I didn't read this. They gave me this message. Yeah? So it's been great. It's been nice. I hope we can have another opportunity to look at, we had 6 topics, but we've only covered 2. So thank you very much for being a very attentive audience. So we hand it over to the MC.
Let's appreciate them some more.